leave the celebrities where they belong. They're celebrities or pop stars or actresses. That's it. Okay, enjoy their movies, enjoy their music, and then leave them there. I honestly think the celebrities would prefer if you do that. Today's sanity saver for you is not caring about celebrities. Honestly, there's no reason to, and the number one reason to not care about them is that we don't know who they are. We have no idea who they are. We only know their successes and their failures and the bits and pieces that they choose to reveal to us, and that, for better or worse, that the media chooses to reveal to us. We don't know these people. We don't know these celebrities. A person is not defined by their successes and failures. And that's all that we know of celebrities. And we don't even know all of those, right? We don't know half the time, most of the time. We have no idea if they have a moral compass. Most of the time, we're not seeing that when we see the examples that they're giving. Most celebrities would openly and have like made documentaries about how they have, addictions to alcohol and drugs, that they've suffered from eating disorders, they have huge anxiety issues. Do these make them bad people? No, but I think even the celebrities themselves would say, hey, I don't think you should follow what I do because I myself am still trying to figure out how to heal from all this stuff. So they're not people that we should be idolizing. They're certainly not people we should be looking to for how to make choices in our daily lives. But unfortunately, that's what happens, right? We idolize celebrities. A Taylor Swift's engagement basically broke the internet recently, and even on news channels like Fox News and um, just all over, people were literally stopping like political news to switch over to the fact that a pop star got engaged to a football player. So this is kind of the way our culture has uh, disformed what our priorities should be. It's not any of our business really what these people do in their private time. And when we don't know those details about someone, we don't know those intimate details about them, then there's really no point in pretending like we know anything about them, because that's what makes up a person, right? Is what they do when the camera's not on, what they do when they're not being watched. That's how we really know a person's true character. But when someone's performing, we're just getting their performance. We're not getting their true identity. So if we're not supposed to idolize celebrities, and we shouldn't look to them for how to live our lives and look to them as role models, which really please don't. And I know that it's challenging because they're pushed in our face day in and day out, and they seem to be these, lovely, sparkly people. Just it's a bad road to go down. Leave the celebrities where they belong. They're celebrities or pop stars or actresses. That's it. Okay, enjoy their movies, enjoy their music, and then leave them there. I honestly think the celebrities would prefer if you do that. So who do we look to as role models, as guides in how to live our lives? The saints. The saints are incredible examples of how to live holy, uh, meaningful lives. And two saints who are going to be canonized in like 24 hours, Saturday evening, are well, Saint Carlo Acutis, as he will be very soon known, and Saint Pierre Giorgio. Carlo Acutis was a very young boy when he passed away. He was a teenager, and he spent most of his time wanting to receive the Eucharist, wanting to go to daily mass. But he also was just a very typical boy. He played computer games and he had a laptop, so a very millennial saint for us. And what sort of separated him from your typical teenager was his love for God and his love for God's will. He made a website basically that was completely devoted to Eucharistic miracles. So people would go to his website to learn more about Eucharistic miracles. He also was just very prayerful and very giving and generous to the people that he would come into contact with. So a very millennial saint for us, who was just very devoted to God and his will and his love. And another Pier Giorgio, Saint Pier Giorgio, as he will soon be known, is another very relatable saint, a very human saint, if you will. He wasn't a priest, wasn't a, no, not didn't enter a religious order of any kind. He was just a man who was devoted to Christ, devoted to God, devoted to his will. And he is known for, he really loved mountain climbing. And he would often just get into nature in order to be in communion with God. And he was an Italian, so he sort of coined the phrase verso alto, which means to the heights. So basically his motto was just keep going up as close as you can get to the Lord, and not just in mountain climbing, but in life. You keep raising, elevating yourself and others to get to God, to closer to God. And his funeral, when he died, and he was also young, I think he was in his 20s, and died very sort of suddenly because he wasn't advertising the pain he was in until it was a critical condition. And so he was often very generous to the poor and the needy, and didn't advertise it, never told anyone really what he was doing, but he would go and administer to the poor, to the sick, bring them medicine, bring them food, just be there for them and be company for them. So that when he did pass away, his funeral was so, there were so many people at his funeral that his parents were just shocked. They had no idea where all these people were coming from all over, that had heard that he had died and wanted to pay respect to this great man. So, yeah, just another example of a very human saint. He was kind of a very jovial guy, had a lot of friends, liked to have camaraderie. But he was just also just completely focused on God and his will, and very in love with the Eucharist. He's said to have been so engrossed in prayer at one time that he did not notice that hot candle wax was dripping on him. So again, just beautiful, beautiful saints to look up to as a model of how to live our lives. And it's not complicated. It doesn't have to be, okay, now I have to enter the priesthood, or I have to become a nun, or I have to become a martyr. These boys were not martyrs. They just really loved God and prioritized his will above their own. And they lived their lives demonstrating his love to the other people that they came in contact with. There was no one who came in contact with them that did not also come in contact with God. So, again, my sanity saver for you today, it's not care about celebrities, but instead to focus your attention on the saints, all that they can teach us, because we can know them. We get to look at documentation, letters, pictures, um, testimonies from family members. And not only that, but they are right now at this moment in heaven with God. They're in communion with God. So when we speak to them, um, we're obviously not speaking directly to God, but we speak to them, and then they speak to God for us. And God gives them the power and the grace to help us. So through their intercession, we get to be in communion with God, and have more of a intimate relationship with people that are actually in heaven right now, and not just in heaven, but saints in heaven. So who better to be in communion with, and to be focusing on, and to be learning more about their lives, not celebrities who really can do nothing for us, because we don't know them. And unless we have a relationship with them, and we're in conversation with them, and we know that they're godly people, there's just really no point in focusing on them. Whereas with the saints, they can bring us closer to God. They will bring us closer to God when we allow them to, and when we communicate with them, and bring to them our joys, our desires, and they communicate those to God, and God gives them the grace and the power to help us. And yes, we can communicate directly with God as well. And that's a wonderful, beautiful thing when we do that through prayer. But we also need human models of how to live our lives. And the saints give us so many examples of that, so many relatable examples that are different in every way, because every human is different, and they're flawed people. The saints are flawed. They're not perfect. And that's helpful when you're living on earth and you're trying to figure out, as a flawed human being, how do I get to heaven? We look to the saints.
you.